Okay, hello, greetings and welcome everyone. All right, so we're going to work on some Fajin skills and how to tune into the frequency of influence. The frequency, we have resonance with the person's tension, the person's energetic feeling, the person's mind. Where can you tune in to practice rebounding force? So our partner grips in this way, takes a back stance for me. I touch his base. This is where you always start. Now, if I was just to grab and push on him in this type of way, obviously his body's going to neutralize it, the joints are going to collapse, nothing's going to happen. So I can't just use a normal physical push. But if I change my structure from the push to just a stretch, now I start connecting to his biotensecurity and something starts to happen because I'm stretching through him. So instead of pushing on him, I stretch through my partner. So that's your first key, stretch through. Then I want to tune the stretch to the feeling of life force. So I touch his base, I drop my hip, I stretch under, create the feeling of life force in my hands, I stretch into my partner, and then I extend the yi, the mind, with the feeling of life force through my partner. So we have the physical contrast of grabbing the joints and shaking the person or pushing on the person. Doesn't work. Stretching starts to catch the person. Tuning the stretch to life force starts to work better. Now, if he was to give me a little bit of a line going down and I relax and reflect that line, then I'm taking his weight into my stretch. So now I'm getting an opportunity to tune my stretch to the feeling of life force. And there's a transition from the muscle through the biotensecurity fascia into the feeling quality. Now as my yi stretches through my partner to create this feeling of my magnetic field hitting his magnetic field and bouncing him, there's a measurement of pressure at the stretch connection point. Now as I start going deeper, as I go deeper into this feeling of the stretch, I get a measurement on my hand of less pressure and more magnetism. So while my mind is still stretching through him, there's a certain amount of pressure buildup. But if I stretch my mind in and around, I start getting this effect. It starts getting a feeling I'm pushing on the space upon what he exists. He's existing on. Then to continue with this exploration, I want him to pass through me. So as his energy comes onto my hands, I relax it down to the ground. And then as I'm dropping, I drop into the stretch. From there, then I drop into the space. And I want to keep this energy lighter and lighter. Now my hands can go through Wing Chun Chi Sao shapes if I want to change the structure. So I can be more in this Wing Chun driving line. I can be more in the Tai Chi type of line. I can be more in a spiraling type of line. It's really up to me. But what the most important part of this is you measure how much pressure is building at the point of contact. Because remember, once your partner starts feeding and they're pushing themselves off your base, they're essentially pushing themselves off a wall. If I lock my muscles up and he's feeding me like that, he's going to bounce no matter what I do. So I can do it incorrectly and fool myself. The amount of pressure at the point of contact is my measurement. The amount of feeling of life force is my measurement. The amount of feeling of the astral quality. That's what you're measuring as you do these exercises. So you're always looking towards letting the feelings, the chi, do the work, not the body. Initially, you're training your springs and tuning elasticity and sinking and grounding, and creating an elasticity in your body to get these kinetic waves to move. But that's only the starting point. Really, it's about condensing the feeling of chi, condensing the vital astral feelings, and then pressurizing the space and depressurizing, letting the person fall through as their bodies separate, entering the gaps, and training the different models, depending on what model you're training, as to how you're going to apply it and how you're going to measure it. It has to be measurable. So define a way that you can measure the result, not only by how far your partner flies, because a person who knows how to feed you really well is going to fly a far distance, but by how much effort it takes you within your body of bridge tension, the amount of stretch, the amount of elasticity, the amount of feeling of vitality, the magnetic qualities that repels your partner, and so forth. You have to develop a measuring tool, scale, that you can work towards to get better at this. Every issue that you do, or every set of 9 issues that you do, you stop, evaluate. What are the mechanics? What's the feeling mechanics? What's the personality? What's the timing of the mental space? So as you do this type of mindfulness training, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy before every issue. You evaluate, okay, keep the triangles aligned, tailbone down, stretch the spine, hang the shoulders, let the elbows soften under, stretch the wrist, get all the joints open, tune to life force, to relax into the astral, and work astrally. What's the personality? Personality is an uprooting energy to separate the bodies and bounce your partner up. What's the mental space? It's encompassing to the back of the pad, around you, and then the yi regulates the timing inside of that space for all those mental, feeling, and physical body mechanic conditions. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then you touch your partner, fulfill the prophecy. Then you release on the difference between what you did and what you wanted. There's always this, I want this to happen, but I got that. And there's a slight difference, and you're always raising what you want up, and you're always raising what you're doing up. So you never really reach perfection because your perception of perfection keeps raising the bar as your skill raises. If they equalize, you stop growing. So you never let them equalize. You go, no, there's more to be achieved, and your skill is always working and raising towards the self-fulfilling prophecy of your idea. So how you develop this platform to train on is going to have a huge impact on your growth rate. You need a training partner who knows what you're doing, is matching your level of understanding and skill, and you're both working together towards a common goal. They're feeding the energies to you in such a way that stresses your body correctly for a reflection of force, a rebounding force to occur. If they're not giving you the right energy, for instance, if they're dead weightedly hanging on you, well, it's not going to work. We all know that 25% of the population floats and bounces very easily. 25% of the population is very difficult to bounce. So you don't want to fool yourself by just training with the 25% that's easy to work with and is very sensitive and they naturally float. Anyone can feed you correctly if they know how to, but some people are naturally difficult to get under and bounce. So this is essentially a power training exercise, not a martial application. You wouldn't normally bounce a person in self-defense unless they're very highly sensitive to it, and like a Muay Thai guy who's an elastic band, they bounce easily, where a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy doesn't bounce, they're dead weighted. So they're two opposite ends of the spectrum. And you do this for building power, not for martial application, even though occasionally it's going to work for martial application, but that's not why you do it. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time, Nathan. And thank you for everyone watching. See you on the next video.